Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today in the Locher Room. I'm Alan Locher, and I grew up watching both As the World Turns and Guiding Light. I joined the PR department there in 1997 and remained working on both shows for 13 years before the shows went off the air. As I was stuck home in quarantine, I realized that I was missing the shows that I grew up watching and thought some of you at home might be feeling the same way too. For today's show, we are reuniting the Rappaport family from Llaneview, and I hope you all realize yesterday, One Life to Live would have celebrated its 52nd anniversary. So please welcome to the Locher Room, Kale Browne, Catherine Hickland, Jessica Morris, and Jason Shane Scott. Here we go. Catherine.
Hello.
Hey, Catherine, Kale, Jessica, and Jason.
Hello.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
And as Charlotte just wrote, my all-time favorite family. So, how's everybody holding up?
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Always
excellent.
leave on a high note, you know.
Yeah,
We can't beat
exactly.
that.
I'm so good and so happy to be here.
And are you in Vegas?
I am in Las Vegas.
So another fan just wrote that she's saying good morning from Las Vegas as well, Carolyn.
Good morning. Yeah, it's not bad today.
Oh yeah, you know her. You know, she's Maryland.
I probably do know her
Yeah.
because I have a talk show on 3 nights a week, and a lot of people come from all over the country, but I pay attention to who's from Las Vegas. So I probably do know her by a picture about this big.
Yeah. So did everybody realize yesterday was One Life's anniversary?
No, and
I did not know that. No, 52, huh? Wow.
52 it would have been.
Did they have a party?
they
We were invited.
forgot to invite us all.
I guess because we caused so much trouble, the Rappaports.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been a mask wearing, a masquerade party.
yeah.
So does everybody remember their first day at One Life? Catherine?
I do.
Oh, I do. I definitely do, because it was just a 1-day role, I think, maybe 2. And Kale was already on the show. The kids weren't there yet. And, I felt a lot of pressure because I felt like if I did a great job, maybe that they would have the character on more long term. And if I didn't come back, that was fine too. I understood that it was going to be a short-term role. And so I was really nervous, and in a good way, and did my scenes with Kale, and I remember it like it was yesterday, actually. And then, of course, and yeah, I do. And then, I was there for several years, so it was really it was a good first day.
And Jason, you said you remember?
Yeah, I remember very clearly. For me, it was a bit of a whirlwind because if Kale and Catherine remember, they were looking for Will for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like the 24th guy to test or something like that. And so when it happened really fast. And I was in Los Angeles, so shipped out to LA like literally the next day, or out to New York, literally like the next day. I was on set in like 2 days shooting. It was crazy, yeah. And I remember, I was in a hotel room on set for the scene, and Catherine comes barging in, yeah.
Doesn't give you much time to be nervous when they do it so last minute.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was.
And I thought they
he had plenty of time to be nervous.
Exactly. Exactly.
Always time to be nervous.
Yeah.
Cal, do you remember yours?
Yeah. I remember Jason's also, because it's hard to forget somebody whose eyes are about this big. It was total. I'm sorry to give you away, dude, but it was deer in the headlights. That I remember.
Yeah.
I remember my first day because I was told that they weren't hiring anybody over 40 at the time, and but I was brought on as a non-contract, and I actually was opposite myself on another world for about a week or two, because I hadn't quite I died there yet, or I went off a cliff and they only found my charred wallet. I woke up on ABC. And I remember that my first scenes were, of course, Hillary and Bob. That's what I was there for. And I had a great time. Terrific time.
Yeah, I think working.
I mean, I don't remember
too.
what the scenes were about, except that I was an old boyfriend of Hillary's, I think, and kind of showed up on the scene and yada, yada, yada. That's all that was.
You showed up to cause some trouble, and you did. And Jessica, do you remember yours?
Yeah, more than intended, actually, I think. Yeah.
Jess, do you remember yours? Is she frozen? Jessica, can you hear me?
I was having some trouble with my Wi-Fi for a second.
Oh, okay. Do you remember your first day?
Sorry. I remember my first, I remember my start. It was kind of overwhelming for me too, because I was very new to acting. I only really gone to LA for like less than a year from Florida. And then I screen tested for One Life, and I think I totally screwed up my audition and my screen test because I was incredibly nervous and I had very little experience. And I think it helped me out a lot that they, were thinking that I resembled the energy and look of Catherine. So I'm so thankful for that because I was lucky enough to be able to get the part.
Well, you definitely had to do something right because you did get the part. Who did you screen test with? You mentioned screen test. Do you remember who you screen tested with?
Because I came in as his love interest.
I didn't hear who you said. Sorry.
Romero.
Oh, David Romero. Yep. And Jason, you mentioned screen test as well. Who did you screen test?
I tested with Aaron, Torpy, Jessica. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And Jill, our executive producer, told me, in her words, I got the part because I was the only one that touched her. I don't know. Apparently, I took her face or something, and she said that sealed it. So Aaron and I always got along great from the get go. So
really, it was Aaron saying hire him. He was.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Well, that's great. I mean, Kale was first, then Catherine, and then the two kids. I mean, it's got to feel good for you, Kale and Catherine, to see the family grow around you two.
Yes, whenever you see the family being built, you feel, because it means you're going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
You do. One of the fans, Matthew, is asking that you were all brought on sort of as agents of chaos to break other couples up. Did it feel daunting, or were you up for the challenge?
Oh,
damn up for the challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, those are sometimes the.
I mean, that's what soap operas are, right? I mean, you wouldn't have a soap opera if everybody got along.
Right.
So, correct. I mean, as long as you've got hair, and a storyline where you're breaking somebody up, that's all you need.
And
I think you told me that on my first day. Just keep your hair.
Yeah, soap opera's hair acting.
All about your hair.
You got to flip.
Yeah.
Oh man, have you seen some of the stuff from the 80s? Oh my God! Yes. Hey, yeah, it's all hair.
It is all 80s hair. Nothing like it. Who or what influenced you on becoming an actor, Jessica?
Who in general, or?
Well, no, who or what was the biggest influence? Was it?
Yeah, it wasn't really necessarily. It was more just my life experience that led me to it. I was really, really, really shy growing up, to where my teachers would be like, "She's a good student, but she doesn't talk. It's a little concerning," And then I started doing plays in junior high, and people were like, "Where did this come from, Jessica?" Because it was a totally different person. I had this confidence when I was on stage, and not to go into a whole long life story, but basically, it was my life experiences. It was I got into a little modeling when I went to Japan when I was 16, and while I was there, I did a commercial, and I hated modeling, but I loved doing the commercial. And it was just all those experiences that finally my friends were like, "What are you doing? Go to LA if you want to. That's the only thing you've ever loved doing. Just go do it." So I did it. So it was just what was meant for my life. It wasn't necessarily one person that led me to it. It was just
something. And Kale, for you?
Oh, my first girlfriend in college. She actually was in love with this actor. And I said, well, I can do that. And that was it. Actually, I got to tell you, I love being an actor since I was a kid. But a guy came over from the American Conservatory one time to address our class in college. And he said, only become an actor if you absolutely can't do anything else. And I thought, oh, that's me. He says, because if you can, you will. It's just too hard. The life is too hard.
You have to really.
And over the course of time, we all, if you're on a soap, you're lucky enough to have a steady job for a while. But usually actors are multi-talented. We find a lot of things to do, but acting is the first love, really. I think for all of us.
Mm-hmm. And Catherine, for you.
Well, I had a woman that took care of me when I was growing up, and she would put me in front of the TV from the time I could sit up by myself, and she would watch her stories. So I'm pretty sure that that's where my thing came from. And as through the years, I literally went, okay, when I started to be able to think and talk, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. That's what I want to do. And so I think I actually conjured it up, or they call it manifesting too. It's really all I wanted to do. Although I have done other things, the most rewarding for me was always spending, like 3 decades or so on daytime television. I'm proud of the other things that I've done, but that's what I really wanted to do. And so I accomplished, my dream and goal. And I think that's what inspired me, of course,
Do you remember what stories she was watching?
I do. She was watching Days of Our Lives. And so I grew up, and Another World, which was my very first show. And Days of Our Lives, actually, here's something weird. When I first got to LA, of course, I was studying acting with a teacher named Jeff Corey and then others. But I had not an under 5, an extra role, but it was kind of a featured extra role with Robert Clary. And so I had a close up and everything. And I wanted to be on soap opera sets as an actor, as an under 5 or an extra, because I wanted to see how it all worked. And so that was the first show I ever had an extra job on in the 70s. And then Another World was my first actual job, because then we morphed into a new show called Texas, which was a spinoff. And so, don't you find that a little weird? Because those are the two that I watched, because and I could tell you pretty much anything about Days of Our Lives from the 70s, because I remember it all. And like most soap opera watchers do, they remember everything. They remember what people said. They remember history. They don't like when it's taken apart and put back together wrong. I mean, I know exactly how the viewer of a soap opera thinks, because I was one my whole life.
Well, that's my story. My mother learned to speak English watching As the World Turns and Guiding Light, and then I ended up running the PR department at both shows. So,
oh, that's amazing. Yeah,
it's really the same thing. Jason, how about you? How did you?
Yeah. I grew up in a town where we didn't really have like acting around or anything. So one year I was really into football, and I was interested in movies and film, and I took drama half a semester my freshman year and just fell in love with it, and was never able to do it again because it didn't even offer it. Then my dad happened to live in Los Angeles, so I would come down and visit. And he wasn't in industry at all. He was a school teacher, but I would just kind of be around the industry, and he would show me some things, and I just made decision 18. I just knew that's all I wanted to do.
Well, speaking of football, don't you hold some state records in Nevada?
I do. As far as I know, they're still mine. Yeah, tackles in a season and tackles for a loss. And COVID kind of wiped out our Hall of Fame induction in April. We were going to have a Hall of Fame induction to my high school. So I've got now that I'm older, I got to bring up those my young playing days, bragging right.
Do you still play?
No. I mean, football's tough. I guess there's some flag leagues around, but a lot of broken collarbones and knees with guys, so you just kind of stay away. But I still love football more than anything. It was a tough decision actually at the time.
So I assume you're missing watching sports right now.
Yeah, for sure. We got some stuff coming back, so that should be good. We'll see how that goes.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite story at One Life that you told, Catherine?
Well, there were so many for that character. There's so many, but I will tell you that one of my favorites, two of my favorite scenes took place. One was with Jason, and it was his last day. Do you remember that, Jason?
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Do you remember the practical joke we did?
Oh wait, what?
On your last day, your last scene with me. Remember? Okay, give it some thought and let us see if it comes back to you.
I usually like. I have a really good memory.
Okay, well, think about it. We had a long look with each other, and as our goodbye scene, and because you were leaving, and it was a long look. Now think about that. Now I'm going to go to Jessica. I think probably, and I'm going to come back to you, Jason. So Jessica, with you, your death scene when you were in the morgue and I came in there. I think that all those scenes leading up to that I loved because I loved working with Jessica. The kids were both fantastic, really, and I'm so proud of both of you for everything you've gone on to do. And I keep up with you on Facebook, and I watch the things that you film and that are on television, and I couldn't be more proud. It was fun growing up with you guys, you know. So Jessica, working with you and that storyline was really one of my very favorite. And so do you remember anything, Jason?
Did you say you weren't actually my mother? No, I honestly don't remember.
Okay, so anyway, Jason and I, we decided because of the long look they wanted us to give back and forth. Now you remember?
Yeah,
okay,
we kind of like.
And so what did we decide to do as a practical joke, and we did it on camera?
Now I remember. Okay, we did like an actual, like more like a kiss, like a real kind
we
of.
made out.
Like made out, yeah.
We went for the little kiss on the cheek and just decided between us how funny it would be.
Oh my God, how did I forget that? Yes, I remember now, yeah.
And Jason, and they're like, cut.
Started on the show, I feel like with my scenes with Jason, you know, because in soaps, in the end, they have you stare at each other for so long.
Yeah.
Like, I would never stare at my brother for that long. And he's a good-looking guy. So I'm like, you're staring at him, and I'm like, my eyes are going to his lips. I'm like, okay, this is becoming
this is getting weird.
It's the normal soap opera stare. You know, it drags out for forever.
And Jason, he was like, oh my God, I made out with my mom.
Yeah, I do remember now.
It was pretty funny.
That's a good joke for the crew. I would have loved to have seen their reaction to that.
Oh, I would have loved to have been in the booth for that.
Kale, do you have a favorite storyline?
I'm still thinking about that. I'm still thinking about that mother-son thing. I mean, that's not a bad idea, you know. I don't think they've done that yet in daytime.
No.
Well, you know, I pretty much had one purpose there, and that was to get between Bo and Nora, and that was always when the four of us were on the set, Catherine and myself. That was always a party and a half. But I have to say, the most fun was with Roger Howarth, who played Todd, because he was as loose a cannon as you could get. And, you know, ABC's totally different than what I was used to. I went to ABC from NBC. NBC's like, hey, I got a barn, I got a camera, let's shoot a soap opera. And ABC was much more structured. And but within that context, I think that whole coach-boomer relationship early on, when actually an occasional ad lib would wind its way in, was a lot of fun for me. But, you know, the best story that I think I had there, really, as far as stories go, was me and Catherine and Bo and Nora. Whatever permutation of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I bet you laughed a lot because I know how funny Bob and Hillary are.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Are you kidding? Yeah.
One of the fans, Jason, just wrote, I promise you, I knew I was cool in college because Will and I had 3 of the same Gap shirts. True story. I love
cool.
That.
Yeah.
That's great.
A little preppy.
Do you guys have a favorite story, Jessica? that you told on One Life?
I love this stuff working with Catherine as well. I loved when she was going really crazy. Like that I think was good for both of us because you were so good at playing that and like your eyes would get so glazed over and checked out. It was so easy to act off of it because it really scared me, you know. I mean, you really helped me a lot too because like I said, I was very new to acting when I got that, you know, that great role. And you know, you gave me so many pointers and tips and like you helped me to like really, you know, zone in and be grounded in the scene to connect. And
oh, thank you. I really I received that, and you've just turned out to be such a wonderful actress. I couldn't be more proud.
Thank you. And there's so many things that you told me when I, you know, that just stick with me. Like I used to because like I said, because I was very shy and introverted, I used to just even dress like a certain way, like always in like gray t-shirts and jeans and like whatever. And like when I got on that show, I remember you telling me, you're an actress, you know, you can dress however you want. It's like wearing costumes, like have fun with it, you know? And that always like sticks in my head. Like when I have fun with my wardrobe now and like so many things. You were like my mom on my TV show mom. You're like in a way kind of like my mom, like where you taught me these things.
I used to get upset with you if you were out all night and you would come to work and I would be like, where were you last night?
You had a rough night, let's fix you up. And you'd like fix me up. On to me if I wore things that were too slutty and stuff like that. You were like,
Never.
I'm sorry. I grew up with you, you know?
I need to make sure my makeup's right so that Catherine thinks it's okay. It's like this total like dynamic. It's weird. Like how like when you have a family, you know, on a show for that many years, how it kind of like you start, I don't know if I'm kind of method or something, but you start actually feeling like.
Well, I do think, you know, from me hosting this show just the last couple of months, I hear it from the young actors who are part of a family that you learn a lot. I mean, not only you're learning from just being on set from your crew, but people who are your family, they do look out for you. You know, a good actor and a good person would look out for you like Catherine did, you know.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Jessica.
And Jason, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I really enjoy. I remember there was a storyline where Will got shipped away to Ireland, and then it was through Todd, and then he had to kind of make his way back across the world. And it was just cool for me because there was a lot of like different sets, and we were in bars.
Not Ireland, I guess.
No. Yeah, a lot of like, really cool different sets, and yeah, it was just an interesting sort of like different feel for like a couple months, you know. So it really stands out. But echoing what like Jessica was saying and what you were saying too, like it was interesting being young at that age and moving to New York City. Like Catherine and Kale were very much like parent figures, you know, and really kind of not like in a weird way, but when you act with them so much, you really kind of feel like you have this like second family and second parents, you know. It was cool.
Was it overwhelming for both, Jason, for you and Jessica? I mean, you were both young, coming, you know, moving across country to New York and living in the big city. Was it overwhelming?
I mean, I don't know about overwhelming, but it was definitely interesting at first. It was a challenge, yeah. But then you get pretty used to it, you know.
It was a whirlwind. Like it was exciting, but I mean, for me, it was overwhelming just because I wasn't that experienced as an actor yet, and also because you know I just moved from LA to New York. You know, New York was very different for me. I'm from Florida, so I'm used to the California, Florida coastal weather. So like the harsh winters of New York, on top of like working, you know, all the time on the, you know, as a regular on a show that I wasn't used to doing. It was a lot for me. It was an adjustment. But I loved it.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Can you talk about Sam's murder, Catherine, and what it was like to have to kill your husband?
I think Kale, you were gone by then, right?
What?
Sam's.
Yeah, I did.
Wait a minute, Sam's dead?
You thought you could come back?
You know, I just really remember.
Hey, you know.
Yes.
Oh. No. I'm fascinated. I want to hear this.
Okay,
exactly.
anytime that you're a character and you get handed the script and you see that you're going to murder somebody, you always panic because you think that's going to be the end of your character, because how do you get away with it? But as it turns out, I killed a few people and got away with it. I went to prison for a year and the camera went with me, and that was really one of my most fun years, was being what was going on with my character in prison for murdering. I think I murdered Spencer Truman. I murdered Sam, and that was hard. I remember, I remember feeling bad for the actor, and I hated being the one that did it. But for the sake of story, of course, you have to forget your personal feelings and go, it's not my character, it's their character. I can't say anything. It's ABC's character, and so sometimes I would have to do storylines that I felt so bad about, but then I'd have to remind myself it isn't my character, and so you just jump in with both feet and guns a-blazing, as you will, and that's how I felt about it. But again, it just furthered another story for me, so I was lucky I didn't get written off for killing people. 3 that I can think of.
Oh, just 3. Just 3.
Yeah.
Kale, can you talk about Another World and working with Anna Stewart? I know fans are dying to hear about that, playing Michael Hudson.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, oddly enough, Anna Stewart, it's funny, when we were talking earlier, it's like Jason. I when I first met Jason, by the time I met Jessica, it was much later in the run for me. But there's a certain thing that happens. The guys that have played my brothers on both of those shows anyway, have stayed friends. And the family that because you spend more time with them than you do with your own family. You really do develop these kind of interesting relationships that have a certain kind of color to them that is written. So Anna and I did my screen test with Anna. I flew back to New York on a Monday, screen tested on a Tuesday, and started working Wednesday in the middle of January. And she was my screen test. And I was, talk about Jessica, I was all over the place. I had just flown in from, I don't know, I was in Brazil. And I was out of my mind. But we connected. We just clicked. And I didn't, you can't write chemistry. I mean, that's the marvelous thing, is that when you get a couple, and she's just, a force of nature, that woman. Somewhere there is a portrait of her aging in a closet, but in person, she looks like she did 30 years ago. She's just wonderful to work with and very inventive. And, at Another World, it was very much, we used to do 15-page scenes, right? Well, Catherine remembers. I mean, and we used to have very long scenes, no teleprompters. And sometimes, when you're working 5 days in a row, your lines aren't necessarily right there. And you go up and you got to wing it and then wind your way back. And until somebody calls cut, you just keep going. And so I had the perfect foil, right? And we did that for 15 years, off and on. Now, I just want to say that I love this woman from the bottom of my heart. A few years ago, she came up to visit me here, and she has a friend in the area who's a playwright. And the next thing I know, my phone rings, and this guy, Larry, says, I wrote a play for you and Anna. After watching you together for over lunch, he said, I wrote this play about 2 narcissistic soap stars. And I thought, oh, okay, thanks. And we actually did this play. We did the play here at the Mahawi Theater, and it was a kick in the pants. And we still talk, by the way. I mean, I still see her from time to time, and she'll always be like, close to my heart.
Well, that's good. I might reach out to you to do a show with Anna for Another World, because I know fans would love to see you too.
Well, that would be hilarious. That would be great.
Good.
There's not enough room, by the way, for 2 women, so just make it her and me and whoever else I got.
Okay. Jess and Jason, some fans were asking what it was like working with, I think you both worked with Vivica A. Fox in the Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
She's
What
great.
was that? What was it?
Viv is Viv. You know, Vivs are super cool, and what you see on screen is sort of what you get. She's awesome. Yeah, we've worked with her.
Her resume is amazing. She's done some really huge projects, but she's the most down to earth person.
Yeah.
And she is just always down to like run the scenes a million times, you know, work really hard, be in it with you, and she, you know, she has no, I guess, like ego about maybe the fact that she's done, you know, bigger things than some of the people she's working with. She's just very, very cool.
That's awesome. I love when you hear that story. And Catherine, I have to ask about Julie Clegg, right? Julie Clegg McCandless, because I was a big fan of Capital.
Aww.
What was that experience like? I mean, that cast was incredible on Capital.
Yes. It was an amazing show. I took the character over from another actress, and so I was lucky that I had never seen the show, but I had auditioned for that character when they were starting the show, and I didn't get the part. So when I went in to audition for Capital, I actually didn't know what part I was auditioning for. They didn't tell me. They just gave me they wrote a scene for the audition. And so I went in and read, and they said, "Great, you got the part." And I'm like, "What part?" I didn't know what I was up for. When they told me it was Julie McCandless, or Julie Clegg McCandless, I was shocked, you know, and I was also just really happy about it. Also, I got to work with Rory Calhoun and Richard Egan and Constance Towers and Lana Wood and
Marge Doucet, right?
Marge Doucet was my mother, and
yeah.
I mean, when I just think of the cast, you know, Nicholas Walker was so excellent, and everybody was so great. And it probably, in terms of soap opera, I think One Life to Live was the best role I ever had, Lindsay Rappaport. But I think the most you know, that feeling where you belong somewhere, and Capital was that for me. I had a very strong relationship with the producers, the writers, the cast members, and I felt really at home there. And then I got to play two roles, Julie and Jenny, and that was very challenging. So I have so much respect for David Canary, because he did it for decades, and I only did it for about a year and a half or so, and it was really hard because you have to shoot all your scenes in the morning as one character, and then all the other character scenes at the end of the day, so that they can do what they have to do with it. And so, you know, but I loved that show. I loved it so much. I loved One Life for other reasons, but Capital was magical.
Yeah, and fans really miss that show a lot. You see a lot of people talk about it online.
Aww.
You do.
Yeah.
Jason, can you talk about working on Billy's Hollywood Screencast? Who did you get to work with on that?
Well, that I worked with Sean Hayes and Brad Rowe, and yeah, that was basically something that just came up right when I moved to Los Angeles, and it was sort of a pioneer at the time, and went to Sundance and did really well, and that came out actually 2 days after I had started One Life to Live, and it was actually playing right below where we were, right near where we were shooting. Where I was staying at the time at Empire Hotel. It was actually playing right there, so I was able to go see it on the big screen. Yeah, it was a cool. That was literally my first job. Yeah.
Oh, that was your first job? That's a pretty good first job.
More or less, yeah.
That's a pretty good first job. Hey, Jess, can you talk about working with Nathaniel, the late Nathaniel Marston and David Romero?
Yeah, I mean, I loved working with both. You know, I started working with David Romero, and you know, he's such like a charismatic guy that I definitely was like crushing on him, like totally. Like, not to, you know.
Probably most people.
A little method too, so it was just like, I'm so confused. But yeah, I felt like we had good chemistry. And then Nathaniel is just like a big teddy bear, and he's such a good actor. You know, he's such a good actor too. Like he just like had such a big heart, and like just looking in his eyes, like when you're in a scene with him, it's like you couldn't not be present with him. You guys know what I mean, and I'm sure you can agree with that.
I worked with him on World Turns, so he's a good man. He was a good man.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. So I really loved working with him. He's very talented, and yeah, I liked when I was pretending my storyline when I was pretending to be pregnant with Christian's baby, but really I was kind of in love with Al, with Nathaniel's character. Like we had this thing that was more of a connection, but then I was so obsessed with Christian that like I was pretending that I was pregnant with his baby. Do you guys remember that?
That is such a soap opera device, pretending to be pregnant with someone's child. I wish we could count how many people have pretended to be pregnant.
It was so fun.
Catherine, had you ever pretended on any role you did?
To be honest with you, 30-something years of daytime television, it's hard to remember. But I just wanted to say, in addition to what she said, I worked with Nathaniel, but we had a lot of scenes together with other people and a few alone. But I used to have the best life talks with him. And if you guys think that I was hard on you, I would really sit in his room and we would talk and go so deep. And he was such a fantastic, deep human being. And like she said, he was a big teddy bear. And even today, he's so larger than life that even today, I find it so hard to believe he's not here anymore. That was really, really rough, news. Yeah.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kale, I loved hearing that you played Krista McAuliffe's husband in the Challenger movie. What was that experience like?
Well, it tore me away from my crush on David Romero. I was. Is that me?
No, I think it's me. There's a helicopter.
Whatever that noise is.
Sounds like there's a helicopter landing. Right?
Oh, wait a minute here.
Sounds like somebody.
There we go. Sorry.
Somebody's playing an organ.
You know what's funny? I got to tell you. It was. I've got some Liberace downstairs. I was working on Another World. I was about to get married. Well, my ex-wife and I, we were just about to get married, I think. And I was tired of not spending that much time together. She was off doing movies, and she got the Challenger that was going to shoot. And I thought, well, it shoots in Houston. That's great. Maybe I can get time off. And then I said, maybe there's a part so we could actually be in the same city for 5 minutes. So I look at the script and I see the part of her husband, and I thought, well, hell, they're probably hiring somebody local for that. And it was, it worked a couple of days, but it was spread out. So I had my agent get in touch with the director, and they sent him a picture, and they said, no, he looks like a soap opera guy. And so I went to the studio that morning. I slicked all my hair back. I put cotton tissue in my cheeks to make my face, because I looked at a picture of Steve McAuliffe. I colored it temporary brown. I put tissue in my cheeks. I put on horn-rimmed glasses and a little shirt, and had him take a picture of me in wardrobe. And then I sent that down there, and I got the job. And it was great. It was, although I have to say, air conditioning in Houston will kill anyone. It's just brutal. But working on the actual shuttle mock-ups and working around we had astronauts, we had pilots coming in going, I knew Colonel White and you know Colonel White, and we had all this. I mean, these guys, the astronauts who died on the Challenger shuttle are gods to the guys down in NASA. And they just wanted to make sure that nobody was, that the movie was not going to be disparaging towards them. And I will say the best moment on the entire shoot, we're doing the table read. And, oh God, what's his name? The guy who was playing the head of the technology company that made the O-rings. We're in this big meeting, and they ask, it was the press conference, and somebody says to one of the astronauts, "How do you feel?" And the astronaut's response, And there's 50 people sitting in this big, huge circle in this room. Everybody's head is down. The line that he responds to, I'm so happy I could explode. And with that, 50 heads look up and look around, like all at the director, like, are you serious? And he says, hey, it's foreshadowing. And anyway, it didn't make it into the feature.
Yeah,
it was
that's
a fine
little
moment of 50 actors being in unison about a line that just didn't quite work.
Yeah. It didn't quite fit. Catherine, can you talk about what you're doing now, your comedy Hypnosis? I'm so eager to hear how you got into this.
Well, I knew how to hypnotize people, always, but I didn't do it. I mean, it wasn't anything I really did much of. But for the last, I would say the last year or so I was on the show, I started studying it really seriously because I thought I would really like to. I thought after this show, I'm probably going to retire from acting, and I wanted to do something that would be meaningful and fun and helpful. And so I thought I would I went back to school basically, and I was going to be a hypnotherapist. I am one actually, but here's the thing. So in the middle of studying that, one of the people that taught me said, you're crazy if you don't take this into entertainment because you've already been on a stage your whole life. And so I went to learn that, and that's harder to do because you have so many people in trance, 20 maybe people, maybe more in trance, and you have to manage that, and you have to think of things for them to do that are funny, and you have no script, and it's really it's a challenging thing when you're first starting out. And then I love it. I've been doing that for 11 years. I did my first show in New York City, and I did a big show in LA. I do about 100 and something, 20 shows a year, maybe sometimes more. But not this year because, of course, COVID shut down all live entertainment. But a few years ago, I started studying mentalism, which I really love. And it's probably what I'm going to be doing when this whole thing is over. I'm booked.
What is the definition of mentalism? What does that entail?
It's a mind reading show, and it's really fun, and it's less physical contact because it's mind to mind contact. And so,
Get out of my mind.
Get out of my head. And so it's, it utilizes a lot of different skill sets and intuition and persuasion and a lot of things that I use in hypnosis. And so that's probably what I'll be doing most of when this whole thing is over, because I don't touch people like I do when you're using hypnosis. You're always touching people's hands and measuring things by that. And people are sitting next to each other, and, and they fall over each other when they go into trance. So, it'll be a while, I think, before we can ever do anything like that. So mentalism, which is really a fun show, is what I'll do when this whole thing is over. That'll be the show I do. But I love it. I really love it because it's live entertainment, and I work as I want to. And, I'm lucky. I have a good agent, and I work all the time if I want to. And if I don't want to, I don't. So it's
that's
more control.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you hypnotize people virtually?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Really?
I can. Oh yeah. We do. I don't do as much of it because I also still own my cosmetics company, which is 19 years old, and it's busy, and and it's I'm sitting in my office right now.
Cat Cosmetics, right?
Yeah. Catcosmetics.com is 19 years old. It's a very successful company, but it's also it takes a lot of my time now that I'm home by force, and I love it. But I do virtual hypnosis, and we do it much like we're doing here, except just 2 people in the room, or even I can do it on the phone. But
what do most people ask you to help them with?
I've had people that can't remember where they hid lots of money or the family jewels, and I mean like that. I have had some crazy stuff, some wonderful stuff. And of course, there's always people that want to stop smoking and they want to, or lose weight. But what I'm really good at is anxiety and pain control. So, I get a lot of that. But people come to you with some of the darndest things, you just cannot imagine. And it's wonderful to be able to help them. Because the people who really want it and seek it are going to have success.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's congratulations to you. 19 years of owning a cosmetic company. That's bravo.
Yep. Thank you.
Pretty spectacular. Hey, Jason, I just saw your post about the Netflix movie you have that just broke. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it actually is out today.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a thriller. Netflix is trying to get into the thriller game. And I basically open the movie at sort of the teaser moment of the setup of the killer. And so if you click it, you can't miss me. A lot of me. I'm sort of little. I don't want my mom to watch it. Put it that way.
What's it called?
Fatal Affair. Fatal Affair.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so it's out today. Yeah. Woo. And they seem to be really behind it, and we'll see. Yeah, it's all over the world. So what's the cool thing about Netflix? If they do a international release, it's literally everywhere. So,
well, and if you're
way to go, man.
Yeah,
if you're that uncovered, get ready for a lot of people contacting you.
Well, it's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy.
It's all over the world.
It's definitely a sex scene. Yeah,
it's all over the world.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And Kale, is it true you've done an episode of Knots Landing, Dynasty? I think the other one, you did 3, Dallas Dynasty and Knots Landing, all 3 of the top 80 soaps.
Right. That was a while back. I have worked since.
No, I know that.
But I do want to say, by the way, I'm actually blown away because on my wall here, I have a wall of hypnosis. I got into hypnosis myself a couple of years ago, but past life regression, among other things. And I was listening. I'm fascinated that mom and dad both should move off into hypnosis. I mean, what does that say about, of course, truly I was out there anyway.
What made you, Kale, what made you get into that yourself? What led you into
dead
hypnosis?
people?
Really?
Well, no, truly. Well, I've always my own. I needed to find some way to channel. I needed to find some place to put, let's say, an active intuition that I've always had. And I had a lot of experiences I just didn't know what to do with. And so I started to investigate. I studied remote viewing. I studied all kinds of things. And
can you explain what is
mediumship?
What is remote viewing?
Remote viewing is basically, it's quantum physics. It's basically non-localized consciousness. It's not traveling somewhere. It's simply taking your awareness out of this place and putting it elsewhere. And, I venture to say that in mentalism, if you've got an act, I have seen people do stuff, but I swear to God, they're naturally like intuitive anyway. It may all be a trick in the game, but the fact is you got to have the knack for it. Anyway, so remote viewing is that. And the government had a program of remote viewing, psychic spying. For 20 years, they funded it. And then it went underground. And it doesn't interest me. I don't care about submarines and Berksucker. But past life regression did fascinate me. And I went to California a couple of years ago and spent 8 weeks out there studying hypnosis. And then came back here. And I've been working actually as a kind of a sideline doing past life regression with people. It's an extremely healing phenomena. I work with a guy named Brian Weiss. He's written a bunch of books. He's very, very interesting, loving, wonderful guy. But then I work with James von Prague. I work with a bunch of people whose heart I like, and they're in it for the right reason. And because I think, that's meaningful to me. I mean, the only thing I have as an actor is kind of a video record of my aging process. but there's something about interpersonal, connecting with people that I really like, and it's lasting. And when you see somebody on a stage, I've watched this happen, and I've had it happen right here in my office. When you see somebody who's got some problem, and they go through an experience, in their own mind, they're a past life, and it doesn't matter whether they're making it up or not. The fact is that if they're really in there, they will find a healing of some kind that manifests right now, that heals them in this life, this day. And I've just seen it happen too many times. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if I believe in past lives, but the exploration of it is fascinating. So that's just that.
Yeah,
And so do you see clients?
Yeah, I do.
Brian Weiss, is he the author
I do.
of that book, Many Lives, Many Masters?
Great book.
Yeah, that's Brian Weiss.
Yeah.
And, he's great. He's been doing it for 40 some odd years. And even he says, I don't know what it is. He says, I don't even know if I believe in it. He says, but, join me. Let's watch this. And I've had intimate gatherings with him of like 100 to 400 people. And it's like you're the only two people in the room. And people experience phenomenal things that you can't describe to anything else. And it's always about healing. The majority of the workshops are usually with people who've lost children, which is the unimaginable, and they're trying to deal with grief. And so they're searching for, something other than themselves in this life and all that. They're looking for answers. And you'd be amazed.
Hey, Kale, is there somewhere, if somebody wanted to contact you, do you want me to put something up on here?
No, the people that need to get to me, get to me.
Okay, good.
I don't advertise. That's I'm busy enough. Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
And I kind of have a weird thing about it, about commercializing, just for me, because I'm not, this is not for entertainment. This is for getting raw, and you can't. Yeah. So I wouldn't know what to do. But
it's so interesting.
If I do, though,
it's so interesting that you both are, sort of down that path. It's fascinating.
I didn't.
I find it fascinating. Yeah.
I didn't go down the path that you're down because I think that has to be something, or should be something. At least in my way of thinking, the past life regression is a very specialized type of hypnosis. Now, I regress people back to their childhood and their time here to help them to, because we learn everything between the ages of 1 and maybe 5 to 8, like that's where most of our stuff is learned. And people can't remember things, and they don't know why they do the things they do. They don't know why they make the choices they make. So, or something was told to them and it has made them very neurotic, or, they experience anxiety because of no reason really they can think of that's situational. So I regress people in this life, and I love doing that. I have helped many people with that, but I made a conscious decision about past life regression because I think it is so specialized, and that it should be somebody's there. It should be really what they do. It's like a surgeon that does great something, and I just, so I don't do that, but it's interesting to hear that you have found interest in that. And of course, you've talked to great people. Brian Weiss is amazing. Definitely. So yeah, no, it's interesting, huh?
Yeah, it's fascinating. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jessica, how did you get started screenwriting? You wrote and produced and starred in your own movie, correct?
I have been writing. I haven't really gotten a lot of stuff produced yet with the writing. It's in process, but it's same as any kind of artistic endeavor. As soon as you have to try until something kind of hits. But yeah, I've got some things going. I started getting into it just because I've always been pretty good at writing. Like when I was younger, I used to win writing competitions and things like that. But I never really got into acting, and I just forgot about all that. And then after I'd been acting there was a time where work got a little slow acting wise, and I was like, people were like, you should write your own stuff. And then I kind of started just dabbling in it here and there, and it's become a passion of mine. Whether, things get produced or not. It's something that's a great creative outlet for me to tell stories.
Jessica, if you get a script finished, contact me because we have a production company here. I'd love to see it when you finish it. Okay? Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And Jason, you're writing too, right?
Progression stuff, because I've always had the most lucid dreams. When I'm awake, not as much, but I've always had the craziest dreams. And in my dreams, I go to other lives where I'm other people. And it's so vivid and it feels so real. And I've never really talked to anybody about it, but I would love to talk to you about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, look
Very
what this
cool.
reunion is doing.
I know. Wait, aren't I supposed to get a cut?
Really?
Jason, are you writing as well? Did I read?
Yeah. I've been writing for a few years now, and been able to get kind of mostly the TV movie genre. Been able to get several of those on air and made, and then this last month was a really big month for me because I got my first romantic comedy going. And so that's in pre-production right now, and it's shooting in Toronto in about 3 weeks.
Oh my!
Oh wow!
So
Congratulations!
yeah, thank you. And that's sort of like my favorite genre. That's what I really was shooting towards the whole time. So hopefully,
anybody in it that you know?
we haven't cast it yet. They're actively casting literally right now. They have to do all Canadian, just because of the travel and everything.
Yeah.
I'm sort of out of that process on this one. They sort of are handling everything, but which is hard to do. You just kind of hand it over,
That's interesting though, because I know that there are actors from the U.S. who have flown to Canada and are quarantining and auditioning for stuff right now. They
but they speak Canadian.
Yeah.
That's
I'm so
funny.
proud of you, Jason.
Yeah.
Me too.
What's that?
I'm so proud of you with all this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I've actually been mostly writing for the last 3 years. That acting has really been just all one genre, the Lifetime stuff, as that comes from being, contacts within that world that Jessica, we've worked together many times. And then outside of that, I've just had to create other things. And so I spent quite a while learning. And then the last few years I've been actually get stuff produced. Yeah.
Speaking of that,
you haven't written me for money in years.
Yeah. Well, still working towards those big ones. Yeah. Still working towards those big ones.
Speaking of Jess and Jason, you play brother and sister on One Life, but didn't you play romantic in the Lifetime movies?
Yeah, we've done several together. How many? Like
Boyfriend,
4?
girlfriend, engaged,
We moved on up. We did like dating, serious boyfriend, girlfriend,
married,
engaged, married, divorced, exes.
And all in different Lifetime movies, right? Not the same.
Yeah, we've done like 5 together. Yeah. 4
That's
together.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just a big coincidence. People ask us. I know they ask me all the time anyway. Like, it was just a big coincidence that the same production company just.
There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So.
Well, that's pretty cool. I love that.
Just speaking of being One Life to Live reunion, a lot of times these people have said to us, because we shoot these very fast, that soap background definitely helps, because besides soaps, those are the fastest paced thing you can shoot. We shoot them very fast, and you got to do 18 pages a day, and they've brought that up repeatedly.
Yeah, there are probably some primetime actors who cannot handle the pace at which you all.
They like hiring me and Jason because they're like, we know you're going to be able to handle this.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not going to see if there's 17 pages and just freak out. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You One Life taught you a skill that has paid off.
Yeah. For sure.
Catherine, you're married to Todd Fisher. Do you mind if I ask about your late mother-in-law and sister-in-law?
Oh gosh, no,
I don't mind. What were they like?
Well, Debbie Reynolds was an amazing woman and the strongest, most strong-willed, extremely funny, unbelievably talented, great raconteur. She used to tell me endless stories about the MGM days and everything and all the other actors. And if I said, I want to hear what Marilyn Monroe was like. What was Betty Davis like? What was, and I was always, what was Howard Hughes like? And, and one night we were laying in bed watching The Aviator, and, she was so fascinated by Leonardo DiCaprio's performance of Howard Hughes, because he gave her first movie. And, but anyway, she was just a great woman. And, I miss her a lot. It's almost like she's still here. My mind hasn't yet quite wrapped itself around that, because we talk about her all the time. So it's almost like she's just away doing a show somewhere. And Carrie, of course, was a one of a kind, incredible, smart, funny, chaotic. She was amazing. But she. It was so sad, you losing them both at the same time was, in a way, we were grateful that we didn't get smacked down with one, put ourselves back together and get smacked down again, because it is so hard to get up from something like that. And so when they both went at the same time, there was something about it that, I don't know, it was just meant to be, I guess I could say. And my husband and I produced and put on this gigantic public memorial it had 125 people in it. It was in a huge theater, and it was very healing to do that, because we were constantly looking at footage of both of them. And we had, it was a multimedia show. And it was a show, because that's what I think Debbie would have wanted. And she wouldn't have wanted people, just sobbing somewhere in a cemetery. So we honored them with the show, and it helped to heal a lot. It took quite a while to be able to just talk about it like this without crying. It was very shocking.
Well, both are great ladies, and both were so, loved around the world.
Yes, and still are. I mean,
completely.
What a mark they both made on this world. They were incredible women.
Well, before I go, is there someone at One Life who would crack you guys up on set, like you couldn't get through? Oh, I have two questions. Sorry, somebody.
Yeah, Kale, I'm reminded today that Kale's always cracking. My cheeks are always hurting from laughing. Always busting your balls.
Oh, that's right. We can say that here.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Woods was the practical joker, so he would, make me laugh.
Yeah, Bob Woods was really funny.
Yeah.
I loved, except for scenes where I needed to be really sad and crying. And he'd crack a joke, and I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing to me? I have to be sad. Don't make me laugh.
Roger was deceivingly funny, too. People probably felt like he was all serious, but he could be pretty funny. Roger Howard.
Yeah.
That's fun. And knowing that all these fans have tuned in to watch us today, the stories that you've told, whether it was Another World or Capital or One Life to Live, is there a story that because you heard from fans that really touched their lives? Because what a lot of people don't fully grasp is the connection that you actors make to your daytime audience, because you're in their living rooms 5 days a week. And I just like to always ask if there's a moment that you remember hearing from a fan because of something you did on air.
Anybody? I can think of one right now. By the way, Jessica, get my email address from that guy, Alan.
I will.
If you want to get
I'll email it to you.
So let me, if you want to know, when I was on Another World, and I had twins, and they kept writing. It was, I can't remember what that term was, but I said, I won't talk to my kid like that. And they said, no, come on, it's just a story. I said, no, you don't understand. I'm putting it out there. I wouldn't talk to a kid like this. And it serves no reason. There was no reason for it to be like this. Anyway, I was insistent that I not basically name call my kid. And I got letters almost immediately from people. I got letters from kids saying, gee, I wish you were my dad. I wish my dad talked to me like that. I wish. And I thought, this stuff does go in. It does have an effect. And if you have, we don't have much input as actors, but you actually have a lot of input when it comes right down to it by the way that you do something or say something. And this was one instance where I actually had control over my mouth and the fact that those words were not going to come out of it. And then I saw the result, And to me, that was really powerful.
It really is. And I love that you stood your ground and it paid off for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think, it's rare that you can actually get to see that you can have an effect.
Anybody else?
Unless you're a villain, and
well, I mean, I always thought some of the soap stories were so outlandish and this would never happen. But then I would get letters from people that would say, I'm going through the exact same thing. It makes me feel better knowing that I'm not alone. Whoa, okay. Right. It does happen.
Yeah. For me, when Jessica, Aaron Torpy, Jessica's the character Jessica, and I lost the baby Megan, I got tons of letters of people that had gone through that themselves, which would be horrible. And they just said it really helped them kind of heal and watch and take their mind off it. Yeah. Well, but they always bring up that story.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those are the stories I hear that a lot about, because it does happen and it's a healing process. Catherine, were you going to say something?
I was, because I'll tell you, not any one particular story sticks out, but the character I played was definitely complicated and had mental issues and emotional issues and just couldn't trust the process of life. And so she was always doing something, she was always trying to get at something the wrong way. And it's the strange thing is that people really related to that character in some ways, because there are people that have all of these issues. And, so for people, sometimes for them, it was entertaining to watch her. And other times it was just people that really got why she was the way she was. So I have to say, I loved even though at the time I didn't know I loved every minute of it, because there were some hard times there, but I did, looking back, I am so grateful for every minute that I had in all the shows, and especially here. And, to see everybody right now, I know you've been doing a lot of these, Alan, and I've been watching them, but it's so nice to connect. And I hope that we can all stay in touch, it better, I do look at you all, both of you. Kale, I have to be in better touch with you, but the kids, I have watched every single thing they do. And I should, thanks, Mom. I should be, in touch more. I would like that. And this has made me feel even more so,
Well, I think that's the perfect ending. I mean, it is that connection. And the reason that I started doing this during this time, because people need to see your faces. You've been off the air for so long, and it does brighten a lot of people's lives. So I thank you personally for taking the time to do this today.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having
us.
Thank you. It was really nice seeing you guys.
I'm waiting for one of my chickens to come back, but it's taken a little longer than usual, because I wanted to show you
your 40 animals. Your 40 animals.
Yeah, I have lots of animals, so it's pretty cool. But the chicken she went to get me she's taken a little longer to get back than we have. Yeah.
Well, you guys stay here for 1 minute. I'm just going to sign off, but thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great day.